Hi teacher friends, thanks for joining me while my teacher tab is loading. Today let's dive into how you can transform a standard 4th grade geometry lesson into a 3D design challenge. If you've been looking for a way to make perimeter or parallel lines feel more real for your students, you're going to want to see this. For this lesson, I decided to give my students a letter, like a memo at an architectural firm from their boss, saying, we're moving into the final phase of the geometric architect project. I want to remind everyone that the precision required for our current build, we just aren't stacking the blocks. We are engineering structures that must withstand rigorous building code scrutiny. To ensure your project satisfies the following requirements before moving to the visualization stage, I've also attached a junior architect quick start guide for easy reference. And then I broke it down into phases for them. The first phase being the building code's requirements. So they need to create a structure of a composite figure using at least 2 different 3D shapes. And then at least one face of the structure must have a perimeter of exactly 16 units. That's my main concern for this lesson. Phase 2 moves on to more technical things, the blueprint verification. They're going to use the ruler tool and the view cube in the TinkerCAD web editor to perform the final structure sweep, ensuring the base dimensions meet the required perimeter. They can take a screenshot or use the Send To button in TinkerCAD to download a PNG image of their design, and then upload it to Cami to annotate the photo, pointing out at least one set of parallel lines, and it gives them space to do their perimeter math. Phase 3, I'm using as an extension, the surface area audit. It's not one of my main goals, but I think some of my students will be able to handle it, so I put it down there. To finalize the material order, we must transition from 3D forms back to 2D planning. Surface area calculation. If they switch to brick mode, to count the individual units on each face or manually calculate the area of each face to determine the total surface area. There's a space for them to record it. And then at the bottom of this document, the back of it on the paper that they'll receive in class, is their junior architect mission log. So that gives them space to keep their calculations handy, which shapes they used, a little checklist for them, and then a question about how they verified their surface area. I already built this in TinkerCAD. It was very simple. All you do is click and drag these shapes onto your plane. One quick tip is that if you go into settings and change your units to bricks, I think it makes it a lot easier to work with such small dimensions. Up here in the top left is the view cube where you can shift your view all around. I would love for my students to give me a top view with the ruler tool in action. I'm going to get rid of it so I can show you how to put it on. Up here is your ruler tool. You're going to drag that onto your shape. I'm going to close this sidebar so we have more room. And then once I click on my shape, all of these measurements pop up. So this is telling me that my width is 4, my length is 4. This is actually my height of the red part of my building, and then the height of the green part of the roof. So this would be a great screenshot to include, but you can also get a perspective view by turning the view cube up top, and then that really gets to show your measurements. This would be a great angle to screenshot and then upload to Cami so you can find your parallel lines. The ruler tool makes it very easy to verify your measurements, seeing that there's 4 on this side, 4 on this side, and you know that opposite sides are equal. However, you can also come up here to the Lego icon and you get this image, which is super helpful in calculations. If I view this just from the top, phase 2 is moving on to more technical, and zoom in. Maybe angle it just a little bit so it's easier to see. I can count the studs on each Lego side. So I know that on this side of my shape, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Lego studs. Going across this side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Lego studs. Same on this side, same on this side. So if you're doing the perimeter calculation over here, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals your 16 units that you need for your perimeter. If I were to do this project again, I would give them a lot more time to play around in TinkerCAD, or maybe even give them more assignments in TinkerCAD, because once they start, they really don't want to stop. I'm including the link to my full lesson plan and the Junior Architects Mission Log along with the Building Codes memo in the description. Feel free to check that out. Thanks for watching. Teacher tab closed.